Have you ever wondered about the way your cat looks at you? That quiet, deep stare like they're waiting for something from you. Well, here's the truth. Your cat is waiting for exactly one thing from you their entire life, and most people spend decades with their cats without ever noticing it. Some cat owners live in the same house with the same cat for years and still never manage to build that deep bond, simply because they don't even know what it is they're looking for. Today, in this video, I'm going to tell you what your cat truly wants from you, how to recognize it, and how giving it to them will completely change the bond between you. If your cat acts a little distant towards you, or you find yourself thinking, why isn't it getting closer to me, this video is exactly for you, because the answer is probably much simpler than you think, and I'm sure you'll find it somewhere in this video. Let's get one thing clear first. Cats have a very different emotional world from humans, but that doesn't mean they don't need love. Behavioral scientists have shown that cats can develop something we call secure attachment toward humans, much like how a baby attaches to its parent. In fact, some studies have found that the attachment styles cats form with their owners show surprisingly similar patterns to the attachment categories seen in human infants. In other words, just like a baby, your cat makes sense of the world through their relationship with you. But of course, this bond doesn't come automatically. Cat is constantly looking for proof that the person in front of them is trustworthy, running little tests in nearly every interaction every single day. And that's exactly what they're waiting for: consistency. Cat owners who cuddle up to their cat one day and ignore them the next usually don't realize that their own behavior is changing day to day, and the cat naturally develops a cautious attitude in response to that unpredictability. Cats love predictability. In the wild, survival is built on being able to predict your environment, when there's danger, when it's safe, when food will show up. When cats become house pets, this instinct doesn't disappear, it just changes direction. Now what they're trying to predict is their owner's behavior. According to one study, cats living on a regular and predictable routine show significantly lower levels of the stress hormone cortisol. Which means what your cat actually wants from you is very simple: food at the same time every day, the same play routine, the same calm tone of voice. This consistency sends them a very clear message: this person is reliable. Now let's think about the opposite. Picture a cat that gets fed at random hours, sometimes greeted with a harsh tone and sometimes a soft one, sometimes picked up and sometimes suddenly put down. What do you think that cat's psychology looks like? Even at home, that cat lives in a constant state of stress, basically always on alert. Veterinary behaviorists note that cats living in these kinds of inconsistent environments show stress signs more often, like overgrooming, loss of appetite, or hiding. So one of the biggest gifts you can give your cat isn't an expensive toy or fancy food. Think simple: just having a stable, predictable day is more than enough for them. But it's not just about routine. Cats also expect you to understand them. This might sound a little abstract, so let's make it concrete. When a cat flattens its ears back, flicks its tail quickly, or slowly closes its eyes while looking at you, each one carries a completely different message. Most people miss these signals entirely, or notice them but don't take them seriously, and over time the cat reaches the conclusion that this person isn't listening to me and starts pulling back. Ethology research shows that cats who form stronger bonds with their owners tend to grow up in homes where their owners respond more often and more accurately to these body language signals. So your cat is essentially running a constant little test: when I give this signal, does the person in front of me actually get it? Let's go through a more concrete example here. If the tip of the tail is gently trembling while swaying in the air, that's usually a sign of mild excitement or curiosity. But if the tail is flat against the ground and whipping rapidly side to side, that's a sign of irritation or discomfort. If you mix these two up and approach thinking, my cat wants to play, your cat might bite or run away, leaving you confused about why they reacted that way. Whereas if you read the signal correctly and back off, the cat concludes, this person understands me, and over time trusts you more. These small details can end up becoming one of the most important factors determining how much your cat trusts you in the long run. If you're learning something new from this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel, that way you'll know right away whenever I post a new video. Now let's get to the big question in the title of this video: what is your cat actually waiting for from you their whole life? The answer is actually very simple: your cat just wants patient, unconditional, and consistent attention, nothing more. It sounds simple, but it's harder to put into practice than you'd think. Because it means waiting without forcing them on a day they're irritated, sitting quietly beside them when they're scared, and simply enjoying the moment together when they're happy. One study found that matching the cat's pace in the human-cat relationship significantly increases the cat's level of trust. So instead of forcing your cat to come to you, waiting for the moment they choose to come to you is actually the right approach, and that's exactly what builds the real bond. Let's unpack this a bit more. Humans usually define love as an act of giving, hugging, kissing, picking someone up. But for cats, love is most often an act of making space. Meaning you make room for them, you exist there without pushing, you create a safe space they can come to whenever they want. This isn't a constant active display like in human relationships. It's a calmer, more patient way of simply being present. Some cat owners confuse this with acting distant toward the cat, but there's a huge difference between the two. Acting distant is indifference, while patiently waiting is the exact opposite. It's giving the cat room to trust you at their own pace. So how can you actually apply this in your life? There are a few simple but effective steps. First, when you make eye contact with your cat, slowly blink at them. This is the clearest way of saying "I trust you" in cat language, and I'm confident you'll get a response back. Second, when your cat doesn't want to come near you, don't force it, just stay calmly in the room. After observing you for a while, the cat will approach you when the time feels right to them. Third, build small, short but quality interactions at the same time every day. A consistent 5-minute play session is far more valuable than hours of attention given inconsistently. As a fourth step, take your cat's no seriously. If they pull away when you tug on their tail or pet their belly, instead of seeing this as rejection and feeling hurt, show them you respect their boundaries. Behavior experts note that cats whose boundaries are respected tend to become more open to physical contact with their owners over time, because the cat gains the confidence that, "I won't be forced into this when I don't want it." The fifth step is using the right tone of voice. Cats are very good at distinguishing the tone of a human voice, and speaking to them in a calm, low tone, especially during stressful moments, is a simple but effective method that has been observed to lower their cortisol levels. Looking at the experiences shared by cat owners who apply this, we see a common pattern. Over time, their cat starts coming to the door when they get home, sleeping next to them, even following them around during the day. This change doesn't happen overnight. For some cats it takes weeks, for others months, because every cat's history and pace of building trust is different. This process can take even longer for cats that came from the street or a shelter, since their past experiences directly affect how quickly they're able to trust again. What matters most is that you stay consistent throughout this process, and that you don't compare your cat's progress to other cats or to some ideal timeline. Some owners get impatient during this process and try to hug or pet their cat more without realizing they're making a mistake, when really patience is the most important factor here. The moment a cat feels pressured, it pulls back, and the trust-building process can feel like it's been reset. Instead, a healthier approach is noticing and celebrating the small steps forward. If your cat gets one step closer to you than usual one day, that should be seen as a small win in itself, rather than immediately expecting more. So, as I've said more than once now, your cat isn't waiting for anything big or flashy from you their whole life. All they want is for you to be a consistent, patient person they can trust a little more each day. When you give them that, the bond you get back in return will be far deeper than you expected. And one day, in a moment you least expect, your cat will come to you on their own and curl up beside you, and that moment will be the most beautiful reward for all that patience and consistency. How would you describe the bond between you and your cat? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.